everyone, welcome back to the Jack Chapple Show. So there was a massive data leak that contained the information of over 200 million Americans. So we're going to talk about that today, how it affects you. Plus we're going to talk about all the classic business and stock market news, the Snapchat bailout, essentially, a Vice Media investment, Amazon acquiring GrubHub potentially, a new cancer treatment, Airbus, and stock market winners and losers. But I had to talk about this GOP leak. So for those of you that don't know, there are giant data collection firms out there. You know, one of the biggest in the world, probably the biggest, is actually Facebook. And so, I'll give you that example. So Facebook, for example, every single time you look at someone's picture, every single time you like a picture, comment, like a page, whatever, upload your own picture, Facebook takes that data and kind of clumps you into certain groups and infers certain information like your political affiliation and so on based on the information that they received. So Facebook's just one of these giant data companies, and there are thousands, probably tens of thousands of these other firms in the world. I actually had to work with one at one of my old jobs, so I kind of know how they work. People who use this information, one of the groups that would like to buy this information are political parties, Republican and Democratic parties. The Republican Party uses this one data firm. They use a few, but they used one data firm called Deep Root Analytics. And so what this company did was they had the information of 200 million Americans on a few files, and those files were on an unprotected Amazon server. By unprotected, I mean there was no password. As long as you were able to obtain the URL, then you were able to access the information of 200 million Americans. So what was that information? We're talking home addresses, birth dates, phone numbers. It also, the company, they also infer information just like Facebook. So they were assuming where you would fall on issues such as gun ownership, stem cell research, abortion, religious affiliation, ethnicity, and so on. They were inferring a bunch of that information. That all got leaked out. That got leaked out if you were able to find a URL. And so this Deep Root Analytics company, they took full responsibility for this. It was over a terabyte of information, and it was just a giant leak. And so this information was largely from voters from 2008 to 2012, but it was also with some voters from Florida and Ohio from 2016. So this was a massive, massive data leak that we're talking about. One of the funny things that I found about this actually was that in one of these files, they were actually using data from Reddit users, more specifically subreddit users of subreddits like R the Donald and R Fat People Hate, which was banned in 2015, which is like, why Reddit is one of the darkest places on the internet, especially in subreddits, you know, subreddits that swing one way politically or one or the other way politically. So it is a little bit funny that they were trying to acquire data from Reddit users and they were using that to actually swing essentially the entire election. That was kind of funny. So anyways, my opinions on this are, obviously, you got to protect that information, right? You got to protect that information. And one question I want to ask to you guys actually is that where do you stand on this data collection stuff? Because I don't know if you guys know this, but your data is being collected all the time. I mean, I had to work with one of these companies at my old job. So essentially, my old job at my old company was to, a company would hire me, like Shell or Dove or you know, any gas station company, essentially. They would come up to me and say, hey, where should we open a gas station? And I would have to buy information on certain neighborhoods to tell them what would be the best place to put a gas station. I'd have to buy information about your personal income, your ethnicity, religious beliefs, and so on. I mean, that was part of my job, and I don't know if you guys know this, but your data is being collected. Like credit card companies do that too. They clump you into just one group, and they sell off your information. Are you guys okay with that? And are you guys okay with that if you get to use sites like Facebook, YouTube, Google, and so on? I mean, that's how they make their money. People think that Google's a search engine. They are, but they're mainly a data collection company. Same with Facebook. And so I didn't know if you guys knew that. That's how it's relating to business for you guys. So are you guys okay with that? Another question, are you guys okay with wealthy politicians being able to buy all of your information for millions of dollars, yet the average person cannot access a lot of this info? Are you okay with that? And yeah, should this information, maybe this information should be made public anyways, like your birth date, home address? I don't think so, but that was an opinion on Reddit today. Do you think that your information should just be public so that certain rich people can't just buy it for X amount of dollars? Anyways, I think that's where I'm going to leave this topic. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that this is okay? What do you think of data collection in general? And yeah, hopefully you guys are okay on that topic. I know I don't like talking politics too much on this channel, but I thought that was kind of worth it to mention the GOP leak. So anyways, that happened today or over the weekend. Now we're going to talk about the stock market a little bit today. So today, pretty much every single market around the world was up today. Every single market, pretty much, and almost every sector was up today. So tech was up like 1.3% today. Markets still have about an hour until closing. Materials were up, industrials were up, healthcare was up, financials were up, consumer staples were up. Here's what was down. The only two things that were down were utilities. Actually, utilities, telecom, and energy. So natural gas and oil were all down today. And by the way, that is something that I was looking into actually. Some oil companies. I mentioned this last week in the stock market recap episode. I'm really looking into oil companies because oil's been really down recently. Oil companies have been taking a hit. And oil's somewhat cyclical, just like all other companies. So I'll be taking a look at oil and natural gas companies, probably on my website, on my stock market program. So you guys can check that all out. Links in the description below. So last week was all bad in the stocks, and it's good to see that there was a good day to start off this week. Monday was a pretty good day. So what else happened today? Snapchat. Ooh, Snapchat. Okay. For those of you that don't know, Snapchat has been one of the worst stocks essentially this year. They're down 34% since their IPO in March. 34%. And so what happened today was Time Warner Cable, they didn't partner with them, but they did a $100 million deal with Snapchat today. And so part of the deal was that Time Warner and you know, what do they own? They own like what, HBO and some TV stations and stuff like that. Time Warner. They're the third largest media corporation in the world, I believe. And so they gave a $100 million deal with Snapchat, and they're pretty much what it stated was that $100 million in ads would be shown over the next 2 years. This would also help Snapchat create 3 shows per day that are 3 to 5 minutes long. Now, I don't use Snapchat personally, so I don't really know what that means. I thought snaps were 10 seconds long or 5 seconds or 15 seconds. So I don't know what that means to you guys, but pretty much what that meant for the stock was the stock went up 2% today. Because of a $100 million deal, that's $100 million in revenue. So Snapchat currently has a market cap of $21.84 billion as of this second. So again, like it's not going to affect the value of the company too much, but Snapchat finally had a win today. A $100 million deal with Time Warner, so they're a winner today. Now the next thing I want to talk about for business news is Vice Media. So Vice Media, for those of you that don't know, it's a giant, essentially millennial, hipster, liberal media company that I watch. I watch some of their shows. I'll watch some of their YouTube stuff. I will. Like, I do like a lot of their stuff. And pretty much what happened today was that they got a giant $350 million investment from TPG Capital, which is a private investment group. And what does this mean for you guys? So I was mentioning some potential IPOs that are upcoming this year, and I think that this giant investment in Vice Media negates that entirely. And this also values Vice Media at what, $6 or $7 billion or somewhere around there? It was somewhere around there. But essentially now I wouldn't be looking for a Vice Media IPO anymore because of this one giant investment. And so what did Vice Media say about this? Their CEO said, I think his name is Shane Smith, "This will allow us to build up the largest millennial video library in the world." He actually said that, enabling Vice to widen our offering to include news, food, music, fashion, art, travel, gaming, lifestyle, scripted, and feature films. Building out this wide-ranging and rich library of gold standard content will be an essential component of our future direct-to-consumer tech stacks and our innovations in transactional relationships, all of which represent the future of media. So it's a kind of a generic thing, but I like that he at least flat out said we're targeting millennials. we want to stick with them for the future. That's who they're targeting, just millennials. So that's what they want to do. They want to be the giant millennial news platform of the world. I'm very happy for them. $350 million cash out today. It's a big, giant investment. And yeah, now we're probably not going to see a Vice IPO. That's what that means today. So the next thing I want to talk about is GrubHub. That's right, we're going to be talking about GrubHub. Why is this? It's because one analyst, giant analyst, said that they could be the next step for a takeover from Amazon. So what is GrubHub? It's an online app, website, food delivery service. And so they partner with thousands, probably tens of thousands of restaurants, and you get to go through and look for food, and you get to order from a conglomerate of restaurants from your app. And it's not just like it separates itself from just other apps because usually, you know, for example, a pizza place will just have their own app and you can only order food from them. GrubHub is like a marketplace of ordering food. And so it's a giant online food delivery service. And so one analyst said, hey, look, GrubHub might be next for Amazon to do a takeover. And so just because of that, the stock is up 5.4% today. 5.4%, which values GrubHub at almost $4 billion as of today. So they had a gain of hundreds of millions of dollars today, right? Or about 50 million? About $100 million today. So good for them. I'm always happy when a company gains value. And yeah, so what do you guys think of that? Do you think that Amazon should take over GrubHub? Is that a logical step after their acquisition of Whole Foods? Because their acquisition of Whole Foods, I mean, I was mentioning this last week. I don't think that Whole Foods is a good candidate at this very second for an online grocery store, essentially. It's a good step forwards towards that, but I don't think that people will be walking into Whole Foods or not walking into Whole Foods and just ordering the food online. Not yet, at least. It's a good setup of infrastructure. How many stores does Whole Foods have, actually? I think it's somewhere, is it in the thousands? Whole Foods number of stores. I think it's somewhere in the thousands, right? No, okay, never mind. It's only about 450. 450 stores. So, again, still, Amazon's becoming this giant beast. Now, I'm going to be actually making a separate video on this about how there's a handful of companies in the world that are kind of creating a monopoly. They're kind of owning the world, essentially. And is that okay? So I'm going to be making a whole separate video on that eventually. But that's it. Should Amazon take over GrubHub? That's a question for you guys. Next thing I want to talk about. So one of the sectors that are down, I think I already mentioned this, was energy and natural gas. Yeah, I already mentioned that. So it is a good opportunity for you guys out there, if you're an intermediate investor, to at least take a look at some natural gas companies. I know I am, and they pay usually good dividends too. They're having a down day, they've been having a down few months, and this could be a good opportunity to jump on those. What do you guys think? Natural gas, am I crazy? Am I not crazy? What do you guys think? So we're going to just summarize some of the stocks here. We're going to talk about two massive winners in stocks today. We're going to talk about Clovis Oncology. Usually I don't talk about small market stocks, but this one isn't too small, I guess. So that's why I'm talking about it. They're about a $4 billion company. And so what happened today, Clovis Oncology, they are a cancer treatment company that went public, and their stock went up 50%. 50, is that the right way to do it for you guys? 50? 50% in a few hours. So why did it go up 50% in a few hours? It's because they released their latest research, and it showed a very, very successful late-stage trial. And so here, I'll explain what the trial was. So this drug, it's called Rubraca or something, Rubrica, and it's used to treat ovarian cancer. Very good. All these cancer treatment companies, I'm all for. Go do whatever you want. People hate the pharmaceutical industry, but at the end of the day, it's extending sick people's lifespans. So they had a trial with 564 patients that have ovarian cancer, okay? And on average, what their drug did was extend the lifespan of those ovarian cancer patients by about 6 months on its own, compared to just normal chemotherapy. 6 months. That is a massive, massive deal. And so what this means is that they're already on an accelerator for FDA approval because the FDA really liked this drug and it was promising in the early stages. And so now what it means is that the drug works and they want to get FDA approval. And this is not a cure for cancer, okay? This is not a cure for cancer. It is a cancer maintenance drug, meaning that if you do have cancer, you will be able to live a lot longer. Or if your cancer is really early on, or if it's faded away, this can at least prevent it from growing as fast as it normally would. That's why this drug is promising, and that's why it's seen a giant increase today in value. Maybe they'll take over the market, maybe they won't, who knows. But you know what, at least cancer treatment is advancing. Hopefully one of you guys invested in that stock because you would have made 50% on your money today if you did. I don't think they pay a dividend, right? Because they're a research company, cancer research. No, they don't pay a dividend. So next stock I want to talk about, and the next winner was actually Airbus. And they're not like a giant winner of today, but I wanted to talk about them just because they were making big news on the type of airplane that they actually released recently. So Airbus has been making these it's called A380 planes. They made them, I think, a few years ago, but they made a massive upgrade to them today, or announced them. And so what they pretty much did was on each single plane, you can add an additional 80 passengers on these planes, an additional 80 passengers. Now for airline companies, that means a ton of extra money. If they were to buy lots of these planes, a ton of extra money. So these planes are also 4% more fuel efficient and also cut costs by 13% per seat. I don't know how much I like that as a consumer. And the other thing too is that they require significantly less maintenance than any other plane on the market right now. So I guess that's where a lot of the cut costs come from. A lot of that 13% comes from. And so their stock went up roughly 2% shortly after that announcement, shortly in the morning today. And so what do you guys think about it from an investment perspective and a consumer perspective? So I mean, this company is essentially making planes more efficient, but it's not making them better for the consumer. And these planes are also 2 jets because they're cheaper. 4 jets are usually much safer. 2 jets are usually still fine. 2 engines, sorry. Usually, actually, I know a pilot, for a lot of people get worried when like one jet goes to failure, but pretty much every single pilot in the world can land a massive plane on at least 1 engine. Although unless the plane is really, really big and you might need 2, but if some engines fail, you can still land it on 1 engine most of the time. But what do you guys think about airlines and airplane manufacturers cutting costs to make it more efficient? I mean, it's probably good for the climate, to be honest. I mean, if it's making it more fuel efficient, I mean, airplanes are one of the most one of the biggest sources of carbon emissions in the world. I think they are #1, more than cars, more than anything else. And so even if you could get these into the market and cut down fuel by about 4% per plane, per flight, that can be a massive difference in climate change, plus in money as well, right? So that was a big announcement today. Good job, Airbus, for making a new updated plane. So we're going to cover the tech stocks next. Currently, there is still some time before closing, about 45 minutes, but Google's up about 1.5% today. Very good. So they gained about $13 a share. Amazon, actually, when I woke up this morning, Amazon was up like 40 or $30 today. Now they're only up $5. But still, they had a decent day. They're up, actually no, now they're only up $3. My opinion, they might actually have a loss today. They might actually have a bad day. They started today with a price of roughly $1,015 a share. Now they're at $9.90. But it's still a gain over Friday. So Amazon's up today. Apple's had a good day. Apple's up 2.6%, making them even more valuable than they were before. Nvidia, they had a pretty bad, up and down last week. But they're up 2.8% as of right now. Tesla finally has a bad day when all the other stocks have a good day. So Tesla, they are down 0.5% at this current second. And Mattel, Mattel just cannot catch a break, guys. Mattel is, they were a multi-billion-dollar company, and they're down 2% again today. I mean, think about this. They were at, in 2013, their shares were at $47 a share, and now they're at $26 a share. They just cannot catch a break. So Mattel is down about 2% today, about 1.5 to 2% today. So those are the big giant tech stocks. Now let's cover the indexes. S&P 500 hit an all-time high today. S&P 500 hit an all-time high let's see what it hit today. It's $2,452. It is down a little bit since then, but it hit the all-time high today. Same with the Dow Jones. Dow Jones hit the all-time high of $21,513 today. Again, that's awesome for everyone. NASDAQ, I think the NASDAQ hit an all-time high today too. NASDAQ hit an all-time high of 6,241 points. So today, all in all, this is a great stock market today. There isn't a lot of downer news. I mean, there was actually some news today that I did want to talk about, but I don't think I have enough time to cover. So there was a tech sector meeting. So a bunch of tech CEOs, giant tech CEOs, like I'm not sure if they're there this time, but we're talking like Elon Musk, Tim Cook. I don't know if Peter Thiel's going this time, but a bunch of giant tech CEOs are meeting with the Trump administration today to essentially give him a piece of their mind. And so I don't know if Elon Musk is going because he said he's not going to meet with him anymore if he leaves the Paris Climate Agreement. And what did Trump do? He left the Paris Climate Agreement, so he's gone. But the talk is mainly about today about cybersecurity specifically, which is really funny because there was just a data leak today. So the talk is supposed to be about cybersecurity and updating government technology. So again, most people don't know this. There is still a large portion of the government that uses floppy disks or CD-ROMs and are still updating their Y2K compliances within their system, not symptoms. So that's largely what the talk was about today. It's about cybersecurity and actually updating government technology. So why is it so slow? It's because it takes so long for the government to get approval for certain things. Jared Kushner, Trump's whatever, is that his son-in-law? So Jared Kushner was speaking to the press today and pretty much said that it takes usually 3 to 6 months to approve any changes to the government system. 3 to 6 months. So, I mean, what he said today was that he wants the administration to do some sort of executive orders to kind of abolish that, to make sure changes can happen in a week. Like website changes, they usually take a month or 2 months or 3 months to go through, he was saying sometimes. And so like just little things like that, like and putting all databases from paper, like a lot of the American databases, they're still in paper form. And so get them all electronic, get them up on some secured server, one that requires a password and maybe is on a government server instead of on an Amazon server, and get them all on there. So they're easy to access, they're easy to access. I know people don't like this, but I'm just saying, try to update your technology if you're the government, guys. I mean, there was actually a joke, there was a joke when I was in high school about how Canada was still using wooden ships as their navy, and obviously that's not true. But just little things like that. Just update your technology, guys. Make stuff go through faster. That's one of the biggest problems I have with the government, is how long it takes for changes to go through. And so, you know, whether you agree with Trump or not, wherever you stand, if you're a Republican, if you're a Democrat, one of the things that you cannot really disagree with is how much stuff he has gotten done, how many changes he has made in such a short period of time. Whether you agree with those changes or not, that is the one thing that is probably a positive for most people out there, most American people out there. Now, I'm probably going to make a video of where I stand politically. I mean, I don't really know where I stand, to be honest, for the most part. But one thing I do know is that everyone is really hard on Trump, and sometimes it's for a good reason. I mean, no matter what he does, people are going to hate on him. Sometimes it's good, most of the time it's bad. But at least he's getting stuff done, is what I'm trying to say here. At least he's getting stuff done. I'm not a Trump defender. I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm just here reporting. That's all I'm doing. So anyways, I'd like to thank you very much for watching. What do you think of all of these news stories today? What do you think about the stock market? Did you guys have a good day? I mean, I had a good day in the stock market. I think I probably made close to 80 or 100 bucks today in the stock market if I were to sell, but I'm probably not going to sell. So that was a pretty good day. What do you guys think? How did you guys do? Leave your comments down below. Thank you very much for watching. You're all very beautiful people. And I'll see you guys in the next video.